WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often trying rare and exotic whiskeys. This is something brand new from Signatory Vintage. This is their 100 proof series. Yay. So we used to, in the old days, used to take gunpowder, used to take a spirit. It could be a rum, it could be vodka, it could be whiskey. We mix them together, we put the match to it, and if that whiskey would burn with the gunpowder, it was proof, 100 proof. If it was more, you could see from the light of the fire, it could be overproof or underproof, but that was proof. It's 57.1% ABV. A totally different thing from what we do in the rest of the world, where proof, especially in America, is double the ABV today. So if we have something that has 50% ABV, in America we would say, oh, that's 100 proof, bottled and bond. In England, in the old, I'm going to use the word archaic imperial method here of measuring alcohol, they would call 57.1% 100 proof. That's why if you have a bottle of Glenfarclas 105 and it's 60% alcohol, that goes back to the 105 proof, which is identical to 60% ABV. All right, so now Signatory Vintage is doing great things. At the online Scotch Whisky Awards, Oswa from Roy and from Ralphie, they've now won, I think all 3 times now, the best independent bottler in Scotland in a row. And I totally agree that they're doing a great job. They have over 10,000 casks in their warehouses, I guess, there, and they can fill these and they can bottle them and they can actually give us great whiskey for a great price. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, what I have in front of me is the new series, the 100 proof series. This is edition 2, 3, 4. Now, you may ask, and I'm going to ask the same question, where is 1? What happened to edition 1? I'm sure we'll have it sometime soon, but we'll see. These are 700 milliliter bottles, and there's on the back, there's a importer sticker for the European Union, which is in Germany, and there is an importer sticker here for New Zealand. So you down under in New Zealand, the Kiwis, might get these bottles one day. So we have the 8-year-old Tullibardine. So every single one of these is 57.1% alcohol. All of these cost in Germany, the recommended retail price is €44.90. Can you find anywhere else a Tullibardine 8-year-old 57.1% for $44.90? First fill Oloroso Sherry Cask Matured. I don't know if it's a complete maturation or if it's a finishing, but hey, it's seen first fill Oloroso. Here we have the Blair Athol. The Blair Athol is a 9-year-old product. So I have bottle 1598 of the Blair Athol. I have bottle number 1499. So if you look, you can see a little bit of a difference in the color. This is much darker. All right, and over here I have a Ardmore from 2016, and it's 13 years of age. I challenge everyone out there in the world to show me a 13-year or older Ardmore that has more than 55% for a price of €44.90. I don't think there's anything out there. I don't think there's been anything out there for the last 10 years, but who knows? All right, now for some reason the Blair Athol has been, at least over here in Europe, before it even hit the market, it seemed to be sold out. So I am very, very lucky that I ordered bottles directly from the German importer Kirsch, and I got my bottles and I did a bottle share, and people were like, oh yes, and was gone within 2 minutes. All right. So this is something people wanted to get their hands on, and I can understand it, because we want, as consumers, as connoisseurs, as whiskey geeks, we want great quality at a good price. So I'm happy with a good quality at a good price sometimes. And it's hard to beat 57.1% with an age statement at the price of basically €45. Now, do you remember when Wee Beastie from Ardbeg came out and had that big 5, that single digit on there? I remember a lot of my friends, about half of them were like, no, I'm never going to drink that. Come on, I have the Ardbeg 10. Why should I go for Ardbeg 5? Maybe you remember Lagavulin 16, and then they brought out the Lagavulin 18. It's 8. It's like, oh, why should I drink the 8? Because we all believe, not rightfully so, older is, of course, better. And it isn't necessarily. It can be, but it isn't automatically. And so we have age statements 8, 9, and 13 years of age. I commend Signatory Vintage for doing this. All of their products now, every single product they bring out since the middle of 2023, let's say the beginning of 2024 at least, non-chilled filtered, no color added. Every single product. If you have a Signatory Vintage product, everywhere you're going to see here unchilled filtered and no added color on the label. And I think that is a testament to the authenticity of Signatory Vintage. They are doing fantastic things. Now, let's smell, let's review, let's talk about these whiskeys for a second. So Tullibardine is a great little distillery. If you ever drive up from Glasgow to Edinburgh up to Inverness, you'll probably see it on the left-hand side when you drive up, or on the right-hand side when you drive down. I stopped off there once, right before closing times, had a good look at the gift shop. I like some of the products, and independently bottled Tullibardines can be fantastic, to be honest. On the nose, I get a very, very artificial, almost plastic type of sherry, and I always call it syrup. So what we're doing basically at the bodegas now in Spain is we're not taking old casks that have been used for 20, 50, 200 years in the solera process of sherry making. We have casks that have been given I call it sherry syrup, into the casks. It is wine. It might be a little bit thicker than normal wine, but it's wine. And it's in the barrels for maybe 6 months. And maybe if you're lucky, it's going to be 2 years. And those barrels are then sold to the Scottish whiskey industry as seasoned barrels. Now, each bodega has their own little recipe of how they make their Oloroso. Oloroso just means a type of sherry in comparison to Fino. Fino has a layer of flor, which is yeast on top of it, so there's no interaction with the air, no oxygen touches the Fino, and it remains a light, bright, nice white wine color. Oloroso does not have that layer of flora, of yeast on top of it, and it interacts with the oxygen and it oxidates then the sherry into something that is a lot darker and richer. And so all three of these have touched first fill Oloroso Sherry Butts. Has it been for 6 months? Has it been for the entire time? I don't know. But all I do know is off from the nose, and it's just not the distillery character coming through. The different types of sherry that were used is for me evident. This is a very artificial type of sherry moment. This from Blair is much, much darker. I mean, so if we just take a look at the Ardmore here and this one, you can see a major difference in colors, both first fill Oloroso. And even on the nose, I get a lot more of a chocolatey type of moment instead of the plastic artificial sweetener moment. A little bit of an earthiness to this, chocolate, nice milk chocolate, maybe a little bit of a higher percentage chocolate here, dark chocolate, and a little bit of wood as well. This could be very interesting. Now, if you know my channel, I'm not the peat head, all right? So many people have said to me, Jason, you like more or less Talisker. Yep. You like Highland Park more or less. Yep. Ben Romach sometimes. Yep. Then put Ardmore into that same category. It's not heavily peated like Lafroig or Ardbeg or Lagavulin. It's approachable. Has a lot of that smoke, bacon, smoked ham type of moment going on. And so even today I'm going to say smoked ham, smokehouse, and a little bit of red berries. The sherry of this is actually very complementary to the distillate of Ardmore. This is good. Amazingly, nothing in the nose suggests that I have 57.1%. Nothing here suggests that it's a high proof whiskey, at least when I nose them. So if I put them in order, 1, 2, 3 for the nose. I like the chocolatey, earthy woodiness a little bit more than here the smoked ham and the berries, and the least favorite was what I'm going to start with, the Tullibardine. So cheers, 57.1%. Mm-hmm. Mm. Every time I try this, there's like a weirdness going on here. There's something unexpected. There's a darkness, almost like, for both of these, I'm going to actually say, I did my German video already. It's almost as if they used a container. So a blending container, a blending tank. Let's say that instead of container, a blending tank. So you empty a barrel. There's maybe from the 200 liters of a bourbon barrel and the 500 liters of a sherry butt. There, let's just say we're just emptying sherry butts. We have 480 liters. If you empty 10 of these barrels, you need a blending tank that can hold at least 5,000 liters. 5,000 liters is a fair amount of liquid. Now, if you dump, instead of 10 barrels, you dump 100 barrels, you would need 50,000 liter tank. So if I remember correctly, that's almost a swimming pool. Yeah, an Olympic size swimming pool has about 2.5 million liters, so it's one of those things in the backyard, basically. But still, it's a good size amount that we need to have that tank to actually do it in. And the whole time I taste this, and the whole time I'm going to taste this, I keep on getting the feeling as if they had not properly rinsed out the tank and left something in there. Might come from someplace else, I don't know, but it's just like a little bit of a weird moment. The alcohol is there, it's not disturbingly hot, but let's just briefly go over to our Blair Athol. Add a little bit of water now to the Tullibardine, giving a little bit of time. Mm. Mm-hmm. Now it gets a little bit of heat towards the end, and there's a little bit of like a charcoal ash moment towards the end as well. This I'm going to give basically because of its artificial sweetness, because of its almost like plastic syrup associations in my brain. This is like a C minus minus D plus plus. This because of the little bit of that barrel char / ash. This is a C minus. It smells much better. There's a nice sherry moment in there, but there's something just going on in there that bothers me, that does not belong, at least in my opinion, or at least according to my experience so far, it does not belong in a Blair Athol sherry matured whiskey here. So both of these have a little bit of water. A/B testing. Yeah, definitely better. Good mouthfeel, a little bit of that sherry, and then towards the end, a little bit of a weirdness going on in there with a barrel char ashy moment. On a good day, a C. This one, from the very beginning, there's that artificial sweetener, a little bit of that weird sherry funk going on in here. Definitely not mine, but okay. On a good day, C minus, and a good day, C. Now let's go to Ardmore. As I mentioned, I'm not the biggest peathead in the world, but I think this bottle is a fantastic example of what could be possible for Signatory Vintage full 100 proof series. I do have a little bit of a question though, are there 10,000 plus casks in the warehouse of Signatory Vintage? Now, most of those casks have already dropped below 57.1%, I assume. If you take 63.5%, the normal barrel entry proof in the UK for single malt Scotch, you just go down 1% per year, means after 6 years, anything 6 years or older is probably going to be below 57.1%. Not necessarily, but probably. So you just eliminated most of your stock. I think that with the 100 proof series, Signatory Vintage went too high. I think it had they gone to 55%, they would have had many, many more barrels to choose from. My personal opinion. I don't know if I'm right or wrong there. All right, on the nose, if you like a little bit of peat smoke, you're going to be delighted with this, with the berries. I think peat and fruitiness, either the cherry, the port, the rums, the madeiras, the different wines go together often very, very well. Sometimes they don't complement each other. This actually complements each other very, very nicely. The only thing I can criticize about this is the heat of the Ardmore is the highest of the three. So this has the least amount of heat, this has a little bit of heat, and this has the most amount of heat. You dilute it down a little bit, 55, 53%. You're going to get a nice creaminess, a nice fruitiness, a nice oiliness. That is where the sweet spot of this whiskey is. And that's the beauty of cast strength or near cast strength whiskeys, is that you can play with the water a little bit and make sure that it gets exactly where you want it to be. Other people will go, that's perfect, Jason. For me, it was a little hot, a little bit of water. This is good. This is actually a C, maybe even a C plus whiskey. Let's go for even C plus whiskey for Ardmore. Value for money, I'm going to give this a B minus. I don't think I've given a B minus for a peated whiskey ever. This is one of the best values out there for a age statement, 13 years old, nearly cast strength, 57.1%, sherry matured, either full or just finished, Ardmore on the market. This is fantastic, and I would be surprised if we're going to see double digits again anytime soon in the 100 proof series here from Signatory Vintage, but it's great that I started out with that. So, my question of the day: what can Signatory Vintage as an independent bottler do better? For us in Germany, distribution is never the problem. The guy who used to work for the importer now works for the distillery, and they are in constant contact. We in Germany are spoiled for choice for anything Signatory Vintage. That's great. The prices of Signatory Vintage are reasonable and sometimes even unbelievably great. Let's go here. The only thing I would like would be, if you put a bottle number on there, give me at least then the idea of how many bottles. Is that bottle 1,499 of 20,000, of 5,000, of 2,000? What's that? And then the last thing, but I think the Scotch whiskey regulations have to change. Please tell me if it's a finish or full maturation. I do know it's sometimes difficult. For example, imagine this is 10 sherry butts. Some of them were actually for only 3 months. Some of them were for 9 months. Some of them may have been for 23 months. What is the finish? Is it a 3-month finish? No. That transparency is difficult to provide, but requests can be made. So, what else would you say needs to change, or what can Signatory Vintage do to better serve the needs of the whiskey geeks, connoisseurs, and nerds out there? Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and thank you very much, Signatory Vintage, for the 100 proof series. I'm looking forward to great stuff. You proved it here with the Ardmore. The Blair Athol is interesting, but a little bit different. And okay, the sherry cask used here to mature it wasn't just to my liking, a little bit too much of artificial sweetness. But hey, we've had many, many, many different types of sherries from Signatory Vintage over the years, and I know some I like and some I dislike. But other people love them, so who am I to complain? See you real soon. Whiskey Jason here. Bye-bye.